But you think there are people who come from Vietnam that would bring their family and they'd like to own a home? That man's consulting fee is to teach people how to buy a house in Australia for $1 so they can own their own home is $10,000 per 60 minutes in a coffee shop. That's his fee for doing that. So the Vietnamese community pays him $10,000 to teach him how to do that. It's the power of specialised knowledge. Specialised knowledge is really, really, really powerful. If you have specialised knowledge, you can make a lot of money. A couple of things, as I'd like to move away from this section, the other couple of things I got off that book, and I think we're all sort of aware of this one, is I think the reason why you're here is you're all somewhat entrepreneurial. And one of the things you've got to be real careful of, and I found the same, is that guys, you've got to just like hang out, be aware of who you hang out with, because people represent two things. They represent where you've been and where you're going. And when you leave here, please recognise that the amount of money that you earn today is the average of your 5 closest friends. It's kind of how it is. We can't change it. It's the average of your 5 closest friends. So people represent where you've been and where you're going. And I'm always going to suggest to you, hang out with people who represent where you're going. Because sometimes you find out that people who, the unemployed brother-in-law who's giving the financial advice probably isn't where you want to be. In actual fact, here's a good one. Next time a financial advisor rings you up and wants to give you financial advice, maybe you give him your fax number and you get him to send over his bank statement. If there's more on his bank statement than what's in your bank account, then you listen to him. Otherwise you don't. That's no point. And the other one was, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to buy houses really fast, most Australian contracts have about 60 pages in them. But I'd like to share this with you. I find that I can buy a house in 7 minutes if I use a blue pen, and here's why. A contract's got about 60 pages in it, and I don't usually have a lot of time to look at 60 pages. I own a company called We Buy Houses. We buy houses fast. In Australia, if you're an illegal alien, if you stay here more than a couple of hours, people will actually, the government takes all your assets after a couple of hours. A couple of days. You get about 2 days, and then the government takes your assets. And if you do drugs, you lose them in about 12 hours. Here's my question. If knowing that, if you guys could buy $1 million house for $500,000, would anybody want to buy it? Okay. When these come up, which they do occasionally, how long do you reckon you've got to buy them before someone else gets it? Yeah, so you haven't got long. So here's what you do. Using a blue pen, you write on a blue pen, I'm in the deal subject to working out the details. See, what a blue pen does is, a blue pen overrides anything written on what's called contract law. So if somebody writes something on a contract, or a standard template form, like a contract form, if you write with a blue pen, it overrides that. Does that make sense? So even if someone comes in, the lawyer comes in and types on it, and then you override that, the blue pen is more powerful. It was what's called precedent. It takes over so power. So what it means is it gives you the opportunity to buy properties, and you can buy properties simply by saying, I'm in the deal subject to work out the details, and you can hold that thing. What I'd like to do right now is take you to a totally different section of the program and move you into systems. I always found when I started buying houses that I usually try to do stuff based on a systems approach. The reasons I like systems, and I think this will be coming out to you in a moment, is anybody aware of, we all know, if you guys had to cook a hamburger, hands up if you had to cook a hamburger, you think you could figure out how to cook a hamburger. Okay. So do you think McDonald's teaches us how to cook a hamburger, or do you think McDonald's sells a system teaching people how to make millions of dollars a year, the process of cooking hamburgers? It's the system. It's the process of how to cook hamburgers. McDonald's recognises that most people know how to cook a hamburger. They realise that most people don't know how to make millions of dollars a year cooking hamburgers. I think most people here probably know how to buy a house. So, there's some tools in the system. And some of the tools that are paramount are the following. A system works really, really well, and the best systems in the world are the systems that require very little money. And what we're going to be showing you today are systems that require very little or virtually no money. By the way, does anybody know what the advantage might be of using a system that requires no money? Correct. It's quick. And not only is it quick, it also has very little risk involved in it. The other thing about a system is, and I thought this might be something that's really, really interesting. A system's great that's automatic, because it means that the system works and you guys don't have to. Is there anybody here who actually wants to have another job on top of what they're doing now? Get it? So when I started buying houses, I wanted to create automatic systems so the system works so I don't have to. My big deal, everybody has, I don't have kids, ladies and gentlemen, my big deal is swim-up bars. I'm really big into swim-up bars. You know those ones you go on the Pacific Islands, you swim up a little bar? That's my bag. That's swim-up bars. That's it. I just know where all the swim-up bars are. So I wanted to create systems. And mobile phones. Now you get your little iPod phones and they have all the stuff on SMSs and stuff. I'm really big in automation. I'm not really big in looking at houses. I'm going to share that with you today. So I like systems that are automatic, because if the systems are automatic, the system works and I don't really have to. So I like automatic systems. And the other thing is, I have to create systems. Has anybody ever heard of a guy called Alan Pease? He wrote some books on body language. Yeah. Anybody ever read any of his books? Did you find them they were an easy read? I worked with that man for a number of years. Fantastic guy. He was a great mentor for me. I worked with him from the time I was about 19. And what he taught me is when you put systems together, the best systems that people want to follow are step-by-step systems that anybody can follow and just fill in the forms and the dots and bits and pieces. And so, yeah, systems are good if anybody can follow it in any economy, in any country of the world. If anybody can follow the system. So I started putting systems together, and I'd like to walk you through some of these systems now so that you guys can take advantage of the profits. Now, what I did when I got to houses, I wanted to create systems. I took a different approach. Has anybody ever done that thing where you go to see the real estate agent, you get the back of his car, and you go around and see a whole bunch of houses looking for bargains? Anybody ever done that? Has anybody had it where you done that?
They're all the same.
Yeah, they're all the same. They're all the same. 3 bedroom, 2 bath, fence back out. Have you ever done it where you've spent the whole day looking and you get to the end of the day and you actually didn't find anything? Anybody ever done that? And you sort of find a bit of a waste of time? So, here's a change. What I did was I thought, what if I changed it? And I did this. And then I applied this to housing. Give people what they want. Give people what they want. If I give people what they want as a concept, if I give people what they want as a concept, that maybe if I figured out what everybody else wants in the transaction and give them what I want, maybe I'll end up getting what I want by default. And I want to relate this back to houses. Do I have anybody in this room who has either a business that you own, or you're in the service industry where you get business based on word of mouth? Anybody got that? Man, what sort of business is it?
Reflexology, natural health.
Okay, reflexology and natural health. Is that a business like people hear about what you're doing, they come and see you, they're really happy with the results, and then they tell other people, and then these other people call you up and come and see you? Would that be right? In a business like that, is it fair enough to say the reason you're getting good word of mouth is because people are really happy with what you provide? Would that be right? So all the people that come to you as a result of word of mouth, how much money are you actually spending on trying to market to those customers? Nothing. That was it. Nothing. What if I created a system about real estate where if I gave everybody what they wanted, everybody came to me and I didn't have to go anywhere? Do I have anybody here that sells real estate? Do I have any real estate agents that are even prepared? So let me ask you something. You sell real estate. You got anybody right now? Do you sell real estate in the Gold Coast? What part of Australia do you sell real estate in? Adelaide. In Adelaide. It's a great market. Got anybody down in Adelaide right now who's trying to sell a house in your real estate office? You're trying to? Do you have any other vendors at all? Do you have like a real estate office or something? And you got other sellers selling houses? Let me ask you something. If I come down to Adelaide tomorrow and I said to all your customers, I'll give them the price they want for the house, how do you reckon your customers would feel about that? Pretty good? If I come to Adelaide tomorrow, I'm going to be staying at the Hilton Hotel because that's where I like to stay. And if I'm going to give them the price they want for the house, how would they feel about coming over to the Hilton and picking up their cheque for it? Should be fine. So if you got the message out and you gave me a list of people so I can get their cheques ready and you came over with them, do you think they'd be okay to come over tomorrow and pick up their cheques for for the price for their house at the Hilton? Absolutely. Interesting. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, how many houses have I gone to look at? None. But yet I've got every man in his office coming to see me at the Hilton to get the price I want for their house. Interesting. By the way, at this point of time, are you guys thinking, why the hell would I want to do that? Yeah. Correct. Because you're probably thinking what I had to think, which is where would the profit be? Why would I do that? I understand that. So, but can we all agree that if I had a process by which all that gentleman's clients got the money they want for their house and I could still make a profit, could we agree that they're coming to the Hilton Hotel, I ain't going to see their houses? Could we agree? Yeah. Correct. And that was it. Because I'm a swim-up bar guy. Right? I ain't going to look at houses. It's not a quality of life, I don't believe, is running around looking at houses. I believe quality of life, ladies and gentlemen, is solving people's problems. If I find out what your problem is and I give you a solution to your problem, this house will simply move across the table. So that was the first thing. The second thing in concept was this. We have something going on. We have a whole bunch of people, sir, like you said, right around the country, trying to get out of houses. In actual fact, we have something interesting going on. Do you realise in Australia right now, we have the highest loan default rate than we've had in Australia's history. A high percentage of Australians are defaulting on home loans and mortgage debt and all this stuff than we've ever had. By the way, has anybody tried to borrow money out of an Australian bank in about the last 3 or 4 months? We tried? You find it a little bit harder than it used to be. Yeah. Why? Because there's no money in the banking system right now. Is anybody finding when you're borrowing more money, they're going more forms and more forms, it just gets dragged on. So let me ask you something. You're selling houses right now. You're finding some people, they're trying to buy a house, their financing's falling over. That's it. It's the biggest problem we've ever had. We haven't had this problem since at least 1982. Because what's happened is we've tried all this old system. We've got new problems in the world right now, but sometimes we're relying on old systems. Old systems can't solve new problems. We have a global financial crisis. We've never seen this before. We have a banking system around the world that's absolutely crippled. We have insurance companies that will not underwrite or insure the money that Australia needs in its banking system right now because they've taken so much damage with some of the overseas banks. So it's changed. Everything's changing right now. Eventually it'll come back, but right now it's different. So, but I've also got what I said before, sir. Got these people right now want to get out. Here's something else, guys. Tell you what we have right happening in Australia. They're the people getting out. We actually have a whole bunch of people trying to buy houses. In actual fact, all the people, there's a whole bunch of them coming in, trying to buy houses, but they can't. They can't get into the system today, and in actual fact, they're all renting. We have the highest rate of rental for at least 30 years. Everybody used to be a homeowner in Australia, but not anymore. They're renting. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think some of the issues might be that is making it difficult for people to buy houses in Australia today? What do you reckon some of the issues might be? Deposit. What else? Banks won't lend money. They've got no deposit. What else? Unemployment. And they get credit. People are screwing up their credit. Has anybody here got a kid who's got a mobile phone bill, just does this all day on their mobile phone, and suddenly go, holy heck, how did the mobile phone bill get to $300, right? Boom. And then suddenly the mobile phone bill doesn't get paid and people's credit gets destroyed. So, we have some interesting things. We've got a whole bunch of people coming in. By the way, do I have any property investors in this room who would like to buy more properties tomorrow if you didn't have to get a bank loan? Anybody? There we go. I've got a whole bucket load of investors pouring in, but they can't get any more loans. Banking system says, no, can't have any more. So I've got all these people want to get in. All these people want to own a house, and I've got your people, all those people trying to get out. So all I had to do, by the way, all these people want to get out. All these people trying to get in. All I had to do was create a system which allowed these people to get in and allowed those people to get out. And if I could do it on the same day, do you think, ladies and gentlemen, if I could create a system like that, where everybody could get out and everybody could get in, and I could do it on the same day, do you think everybody would be happy? And do you think it's possible, if I make everybody happy and everybody gets what they want, somewhere along the line I'm going to get paid for what I do? Yep. Correct. I'm going to suggest to you I do. I'm also going to suggest to you that when I put this system together, which I'm sharing with you today, I don't have to see properties. I can sit at the Hilton Hotel, or I can hang out in the swim-up bar and do everybody these days, all lawyers do is PDFs, electronic documents. All documents around the world are electronic. All I have to do is put the systems in place where other people get what they want. What I'd like to do now is walk you through some of these processes so you can see the numbers behind them. Does it make sense? So, here's a model. Model said I want three things. I'd like my time. I want to buy my time back. And I'll tell you where I got the thing of this. So I came back to Australia, got a lot of friends, and I'd go, I want to get my time. Because I was finding a lot of friends, they'd have a 2-year-old. And I'd say, what's your 2-year-old look like? I'd say, well, it's funny. I came back from work the other day, they were 21. And I realised there's so many guys working so many hours. So many guys say to me, if I only had more time to spend with their kids, I just don't get it. Work these jobs, going early, come out late, 6 days a week. I want to get my time back. When I do this, more often than not, when I'm doing this talk, people always say to me, it's always about time. They just want to get their time back. It's not about money. Money's great, but for quite often, for people, there are other issues. I'm all about freedom to do what I'd like to do when I'd like to do it. Have my time back. And of course, money looks after a lot of things as well. Here was this is one concept. And then I'm going to put some numbers around this for you. I've got all these sellers who want to get out of properties. All I've got to do is be what I call the transaction engineer. I get everybody else's houses sold for them, every home unit, land, block of land, they all come through. They're all gone. I sit there as the transaction engineer. And I think, okay, let's make this easy. Why don't I do this? With everybody's house, why don't I buy it? I'll rent it and buy it at the same time. I'll rent and buy it at the same time. Now, over here, I said all the people who want one, you can rent and own it at the same time. So all I did was everyone I bought and rented it at the same time, and everybody who wanted one, they could own it and rent it at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, if I gave the tenant a choice, and I said to a tenant in Australia, do you want your rent to be dead rent, or do you want your rent to go towards owning the property? What do you think he'll say to me every single time? You bet, and I'll suck in every tenant across Australia, and they just line up down the street. Absolutely, and then the property moves across the table. So here's what we're going to do. I'm now going to give you some figures around this. This is a transaction that was just done a little while ago, but I'll give you the figures on it and how it came together. And you can see how this can move. Realestate.com.au. How many people are familiar with that? Anybody ever been on there looking for property? It's great. I tell you what I like about it. Laptop, swim up bar, mobile phone, there they are right there. Right, get on there, ring up, ring up about the property. I rang up about this particular property, it was a townhouse property. I spoke to the agent, I said, how's the property going? Why isn't the property sold? They said the market was on the market. You might want to write these down. This property was on the market for $525,000. They couldn't sell it. It was 4 months. It's been on the market. And I said, what's the latest? And they said, mate, we've lost interest in selling it. It's a quiet market. We'll just give you the name of the seller. And gave me his name and his phone number. Said, you go for it, see what you can work out. I said, thank you. I called the seller. I said, your house hasn't sold. What's going on? Mate, it was on the market for $525,000. The agent promised me that if I gave him the listing, he'd have it sold within a week. So I've moved cities, I've bought a second house, I've now got 2 mortgages, mortgage on the new house, mortgage on this one, got to get out of this thing, it's killing me. I said, what do we need to see happen? I'm on the telephone, what do you need to see happen? 10:30 in the morning. He said, give me $450,000 and I'm happy. I said, okay, I can do that. Sir, I can give you $450,000, but I need a little bit of help here. I'll tell you what, can I do this? If I can give you the $450,000 while I'm putting the money together, any chance I can sort of like, be renting it from you and then cut you the cheque down the road for $450,000? He said, that won't work. He said, because that rent on that place is about $300,000. And if I did that for you, I'm still negatively geared, I've still got expenses, I'm still losing money on this thing. Is anybody here familiar with negative gearing? Yeah? It's an exciting hobby where you lose more money every month. So, I said, let me ask you something. If you didn't want to be negatively geared, what would we have to say? How much extra rent would I have to give you? Extra rent. He said, I'll tell you what. You give me $450 a week rent. You might want to write these numbers down, ladies and gentlemen. You give me $450 a week rent. That will cover my principal and interest, my water, my council, my rates, my body corporate. That's it. I said, let me ask you something. How long can I keep paying you this $450 a week for? As long as I'm looking after all the expenses. He said, you know what, if you're prepared to pay me 50% more than any other tenant in Australia is, he said, if you're that stupid to pay me 50% more rent than anybody else, God, mate, you can do that for the next 600 years, who cares? Think it. I faxed him down my form, he sent it back. Called up a different real estate agent, 2 suburbs down. I said, excuse me, Mr. Real Estate Agent, do you rent properties? I said, yes, we do. In actual fact, we're an established real estate office. We've been around since 1912 and we're really good at it. I said, what do you got? I opened up the lid of my laptop. I said, I have a stunning 2-bedroom townhouse, close to shops, schools, neighbourhoods, good future investment. You'll love the scenery, the playground, the little kids. She said, that sounds like, her name was Sophie. She said, that sounds like an absolute fantastic property. She says, how much do you want rent for it? I said, $500 a week. You might want to write that down, ladies and gentlemen. $500 a week. She goes, no. Mr. Otten, I think you're out of touch with the property market. Property market there is only probably $330. I said, yeah, but that's standard rent. This is super rent. And she said, what's super rent? And I said, well, Sophie, on the standard rent, how much rent goes towards buying the property? She said, well, it doesn't. I said, well, how much benefit does the tenant get? Well, nothing, but who cares? It's not our problem. I said, yeah, but with the super rent, the rent's just like a bank loan. The rent goes to buying the property, just like it was a bank loan. The super rent goes straight into buying the property. She said, you kidding me? I said, yeah, that's why they call it super rent. She said, well, how much is the property? I said, it's $500,000. You guys might want to write that down. Ladies and gentlemen, does anyone remember how much I'm picking this property up for? $450. And the people are moving in on the super rent for how much? $500. And she said to me, are you negotiable, Mr. Otten? Are you negotiable on the price of that property? I said, of course I am, but geez, why would they want to pay more? She said, you know what? She said, let me give this a shot, see how I go. On the same day, 6 o'clock, the same day, they started at 10 o'clock, 10:30 in the morning, I was on that phone. She goes, you're not going to believe it, Mr. Otten. I said, I guess I will. She said, I got 3 people and 3 applications on the super rent. She said, if you give me a fax number, I'll fax down the applications and you can tell me what to do next.